So, we have one more speaker before we go to lunch. And this gentleman who's going to come out, for those that you were here last year, you would have remembered him from last year. An incredible man, an incredible human being, someone who really knows how to keep compassion at the heart of leadership. What does that look like to be a compassionate leader in the landscape of the day-to-day that we're talking about? So Krish Kandiah is going to talk about the power of proximity. Krish is the founder of the Sanctuary Foundation. It supports refugee resettlements. It works across government sectors, business, media, civil. The mission is to solve intractable social problems through partnerships. He's a trusted advisor on refugee support, child welfare reform, educational innovation, and civil social engagement. He's trained thousands in caring the vulnerable adults and children. And in this sort of reality that our world is in, Krish has got a lot to teach us and a lot to talk about in that space. Ladies and gentlemen, Krish Kandiah, OBE. Krish. Hey, buddy.
Good afternoon. You're not going to be a quiet audience, are you? Good afternoon, everyone. I know I'm the last slot before lunch, but stay with me. I hope I can help to encourage and inspire you in what you're doing. My family background is complicated. My mother is from India. My father is from Malaysia. My father's father is from Sri Lanka, and my mother's father, as you might have guessed, is from Ireland. So I'm really confused about who I am, where I'm from, who to cheer for in the Olympics. That's complicated. Who to cheer for in the cricket, very difficult. But it's not difficult who to cheer for in the football. I'm Liverpool Football Club all the way. I want to talk to you about the power of proximity. And I'm going to tell you some stories, but before we get there, we promised this would be a leadership dialogue. So I want you to be part of this dialogue. I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're going to put up a little Mentimeter, and there you go, use your QR code, and this will be live. So whatever you say will be on the screen. I did that with a group of 10,000 secondary school students, and that was quite a dangerous thing to do. Because anything could go on the screen. And give us a thumbs up when you're in the room. A few of you are doing that, that's great. Lots of thumbs up, nice. 54 of you are in the room. Keep going. I did this with a group of old age pensioners, and we got 80% participation. So I know you're entrepreneurs, SME leaders, you can do better than 80%. Let me see how you're getting on. Okay, I'm gonna try you with my first question. Here we go. Where have you lived the longest in the UK? Just put a pin on the map and press send, and let's see who we've got here. I'm guessing we're quite a local group, but I'd like to see that for myself. Oh, interesting, we've got someone from Wales, someone from the kind of Irish Sea. That's great, you must live on a boat, you're very welcome here. I work with a lot of people who live on boats or travel on boats. We have someone from Land's End, it looks like, North Wales, the Midlands. Look at that, the bulk of you are local here in Bristol and Bath. Fantastic. We have no one from Scotland yet and no one from Northern Ireland, but we're working on it. Look how local you are, that's great. That means you care about this community, and that means a lot to me. Okay, we have someone from the north, brilliant. So glad you could make it. All right, next question, a bit of a harder one. How does it feel to be a leader right now? Give me an adjective, and don't swear if you can avoid it. Give me a describing word. How does it feel? And just give me one word and then press enter if you want to add more than one word. Complex, exciting, thrilling, challenging, fabulous. Wonderful, keep going. So many positive words. Rewarding, empowering, hard, tough, pointless. That's an interesting one. Anxious, futile, great, empowered and thrilling. Interesting. I do this with school leaders, and a very similar mix those that are new to leading school, feeling full of excitement and energy, and those of us that might be a bit older, actually losing some of that vision. This is the first group that I've heard someone say it feels futile. What is the point? Are we really getting anywhere? I know it feels like that with our politics at the moment. You know, 1 step forward and 5 steps backwards. I struggled, I must admit. I had a really difficult day watching the news on the day that our Prime Minister, who I support and I'm appreciative of, he gave a speech about us becoming an island of strangers. And the reason we're becoming an island of strangers, he said, is because of all these immigrants that are coming here and not learning our language. And I struggled. That was like Liverpool Football Club scoring an own goal. I couldn't believe that a Labour Prime Minister would say that. I found that difficult. And I found it hard for a number of reasons. Number one, English people lecturing the world about learning languages seems a little bit ironic. Also, if you noticed from the map earlier, the United Kingdom is not an island. We are a group of islands. Now, sorry about if you're from Jersey or Guernsey or the Isle of Wight or the Hebrides or Northern Ireland, you're not included. Maybe you're not part of the island of strangers. But the biggest problem I had is that at one level, he's right. We are disintegrating as a society. People are feeling lonely. But to say that's mainly or primarily due to immigration, I think is a mistake. I think it begins to scapegoat immigrants for another problem in our society. And I don't know if you've noticed, it feels like more and more things are being labelled as a problem that the immigrants have brought. And I'm an immigrant and proud of it, and I love this country, but I don't think immigrants are the main problem. So we live in interesting times, and it does seem like 1 step forward and 5 steps back is often the framing, and that's why maybe it feels pointless, complex, and futile sometimes to be a leader. All right, let's try one more. What are the biggest challenges for you as leaders right now? And again, just give me one answer and then press return. If you want to do multiple answers, then do that. But other leaders, bandwidth, time, money, Menti answers. Thank you very much. Okay, there are other projection software is available. Prioritizations, motivating the team, adaptment, recruitment, staying focused. I think you can scroll up and you'll be able to see a few more of the answers. I'm going to give you just a couple more seconds. People, change management, time, uncertainty, supporting others through instability. Gen Z, they're the main challenge. Capacity. I wonder if that was a Gen Z person that said that. Staying up to date, politics, focusing energy. All right, tech team, we're going to use the AI. So press the space bar and then it will try and help us hear what the room has said. So this is live, right? You're doing this with me. This is a dialogue, and then that will help me respond to it as we do the rest of the talk. Okay, motivation. That's the biggest challenge from this room. Peers are working with other people, and change and funding. Those are our top responses. Okay, I'm going to try and take your answers and use that to shape where we're going. Great. Okay, let me tell you. My talk is called The Power of Proximity, and I do think getting proximity right will help us with motivation, working with other people, and handling change, or bringing change. So let's see if we can talk about that. The first thing I want to say is that getting close to people, the power of proximity will help you to unravel prejudice. I said we're living in a nation that's increasingly scapegoating immigrants for more and more problems. As a person of colour, I've often felt less comfortable in the UK because of that narrative that seems to be taking shape. And I've learned a little bit about how the power of proximity, getting close to people, can help unravel prejudice. I'm going to give you an example. My wife and I, we are foster parents, and we love being foster parents. We've been foster parents for 19 years. I can tell you that because we're still in touch with our first foster child. She came to live with us when she was just a baby. We were helping to try and get her reunited with her mum so her mum could be in a better place to take her back. That didn't work out, and so when she was about 2, we were asked to adopt her. She's from the UK, and so we were asked to adopt her, and we did. And it's her 19th birthday this month. And we love her. She's flourishing and growing. And we've had maybe 30 children that have lived with us over the last 19 years. And I remember one day, I don't know why it's always a Friday, we got a call about 4:45 on a Friday afternoon. And it went a little bit like this. Oh, hi, Dr. Kandiah. Yeah, we know you and Miriam already have 6 children at home, but could you take another one? And my wife has seen the caller ID and she's already jumped in the car, right? She is ready to go. She is the biggest hearted person ever. And today is our 31st wedding anniversary and I'm here. So I'm not in trouble. I'm honouring her from afar, and we're going to have dinner tonight to make up for me being away today. Anyway, my wife is in the car, ready to go, and I'm the hesitant one. I'm a little bit nervous. And so I say to the social worker, I said, could you just tell me something about this child before we welcome him to our home? And the lady at the other end, she said, well, I can't tell you much. All I can tell you is he's a biter. And I'm like, whoa, if you're only going to tell me one thing about someone, why pick biter? Because now in my head, all I can see is a small boy with massive mouth and huge teeth. That's the mental image you've given me just from that one word description. And then I've got a dilemma, right? Because I don't know about you, there's 2 sides to my brain. There's one side of my brain that's a little bit cynical and angry and nervous. And that side of my brain seeing this lad with big teeth and it's saying, you know, what happens if we bring him home? What does he bite? Does he bite stuff? I mean, that would be a problem, but we could get used to that because we've got teeth marks on our furniture from our cat and other visitors to our house. So we could maybe cope with if he bites stuff. But if he bites people, well, that's a problem. Like, where's he been? What's he been exposed to? Has he been vaccinated? How is this going to work out? So that's one side of my brain. But then the other side of my brain, that's the side of my brain that tries to do the right thing. That's the side of my brain that goes to church and reads the Bible and tries to pray. And that side of my brain is raising a question. And it says, biter. Isn't that an inadequate description of a human person? Because you and I, we are more than the worst thing we've ever done, or the worst thing that's ever been done to us. It's not a fair label to put on this boy. This boy has intrinsic value, dignity, and worth. And so therefore, biter is not right. Another friend of mine had an illustration for this. He said, imagine that you go down the high street in Bath and you go to an ATM. Do you remember those? They're amazing. Back in the day, you could get like cash out of a wall. Brilliant. Some of you look at me, I've never seen one of those. And imagine there's 2 20-pound notes come out of a cash machine. And one of them looks like it just came direct from the mint, like it's perfect, creaseless, pristine. And the other one, well, that one looks like it's just come back from the Glastonbury Festival, right? It's covered in mud and smells a bit funky. It's all crumpled. Someone's written their phone number on it. And you're looking at these 2 20-pound notes, and which one is more valuable? It's a stupid question, isn't it? They both have the same value. That's what I believe about humanity. My Christian faith's part of that, but you probably have that value too, even if you don't share my faith. Every single person has intrinsic value, dignity, and worth. And therefore, we needed to get in the car. My wife zoomed off, I went with her, and we brought this little boy home. He was 3. He had had 8 different families already in his life. He had speech delay. And then suddenly I'm going, whoa, speech delay. Maybe the biting was a good thing, because it was him saying, I'm here, I matter, I count. I'm not just an object that can be moved from one place to another. I'm a person, take me seriously. Do you see how proximity can unravel prejudice? If you actually get to know people. I've been thinking about xenophobia recently. And xenophobia, because it's a phobia, you could see it as a mental health condition. You know, like agoraphobia, being afraid of the outdoors. Well, xenophobia is being afraid of strangers. And they talk about therapies that help you get over that. You know, you're supposed to just try stepping outside your house just for a few seconds and then come back in again. Exposure therapies, they call it. I believe we can overcome xenophobia by exposing people who have that fear, that mental health condition, to actually meet people that are different to them. Give them the connection, and they will overcome that fear. Little by little, I think it's possible. Proximity overcomes or unravels prejudice. Oh, I haven't got time for this. I'll come back to that if we ever have Q&A. The second thing I want to say is proximity unlocks empathy. I live in Henley-on-Thames. There's a big boat race going on right now. And we lived there because of lockdown, and we ended up buying an old office building that we're slowly turning into a house. So we used to have hand dryers in our toilet, which the kids thought was amazing. And we've got a green button to get out of our door. So just take your expectations of a Henley house and put them through the floor. But I was involved in helping to kind of kick off the Homes for Ukraine program. We saw our government was being a little bit slow at responding to the refugee crisis. So we got people to pledge if they'd be willing to host Ukrainian women and children in their homes. And we wrote to everybody we could, and we did social media, and we said, look, if you'd be willing to do that, then just pledge. And there's no money, there's no government scheme, but if enough of us pledge, maybe we convince the government to do it. 29,000 people pledged. And that was enough to open the door for the government to say, come on, Krish, and come on, other charities, you help us co-design the Homes for Ukraine program. And now there's about 250,000 Ukrainians that have been welcomed in the UK. It's incredible. The UK has been so generous. And if you're part of that welcome, thank you. I want to tell you about one guy. He is the chair of the board of one of the poshest schools in the country. And he lives in Henley-on-Thames. And he, to be honest, did not have a lot to do with refugees before the Homes for Ukraine scheme. But somehow on the internet, him and his wife, they got in touch with a young woman in Ukraine that needed to come to safety. And so he agreed to be her sponsor. And her visa was taking 5 weeks to kind of organize. And he was outraged at this. If you know anything about visas and resettlement, 5 weeks is off the chart amazingly fast, but not for this guy. He had his friend Natalia in Ukraine that needed his help, and 5 weeks was ridiculous. So he got on his phone to his MP and said, 5 weeks is out of order. We really need to sort this out. And guess what? Through him and other people using pester power, they got it down to 48 hours. They were able to process visas. Now, that guy didn't care about refugees, but he did care about Natalia, and so he's going to fight for her to change the system. Second thing that happened, she came to live with him, and then every week she'd have to go to the job centre. Now, this guy didn't know where the job centre was. It was 3 buses from his house to get to the job centre, and he had to take her once, and it was a dive. It was really horrible. And guess what? He thought this was out of order. He'd never been to a job centre before in his life, but it was wrong for his friend Natalia to have to go there when she could have been learning English, actually trying to get a job. What a stupid system. So guess what he did? He got on the phone to his MP. Oi, this job centres, they're just not working out. Sorry, that isn't a very posh Henley accent. I've got to work on that. These job centres aren't working out, sir. Please, could you do something about this? This is ridiculous. Then the third problem. This gentleman was very generous, but he said, look, it's been 9 months. I really want to help you stand on your own 2 feet. We need to find you some appropriate housing, also in Henley. I don't know if this is news to you, but there is not a lot of social housing available in Henley-on-Thames. And this guy now has found out that his Natalia has nowhere to live. So guess what he does? Actually, he does one better this time. We organised a petition, and we got 20,000 hosts to write, oh, dear Prime Minister, it's been amazing to host Ukrainian refugees, but could you do your bit and help us find appropriate social housing? And we delivered 20,000 petitions. And this guy, who's never signed a petition before, I don't think, and he's definitely never been to Downing Street, he is with me delivering this petition. Do you see what happens? It's that personal connection, hosting Natalia in his house. He now talks about Natalia like she's a member of his family. They were strangers before, but now, through the power of proximity, they have become family. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh man, my time is going. So I can't show you the video I want to show you. So I'd love to tell you about the way that my charity is doing this through school assemblies. If you're in education, talk to me, because we run something called the Great Big Live Assembly, which connects children. Like last week, we connected children in, I think it was 800 schools around the UK with a live event, and they got to meet 2 children from Sudan who are refugees in Kenya. And we had kids in Wales talking live to these 2 kids in Kenya. And these 2 kids are saying, we get up at 6 a.m, we walk 5 kilometers to go to school, and there's 130 children in our class. We eat our 1 meal of the day, which is half a cup of rice and beans, and then we walk home. And you could see these kids in Wales going, whoa, we thought we had a tough time going to school. You are off the chart. What could we do to help? That empathy unlocks something. All right, final point. Proximity unleashes champions. That little boy that came to live with me, we were told he was British. And we said, look, we'd love to have him, but we've got a problem. We're going on a holiday, and I'm speaking at a conference. It's kind of a busman's holiday. I have to go. I'll let down 1,000 people if I don't go, but we'd love to look after him. I said, don't worry. He's British. It's going to be fine. He's probably got a passport. No problem. Guess what? This 3-year-old biter boy, who's actually a brilliant boy, he came to live with us. He turned our lives upside down, but he was not British. He was Nigerian. And now I am on a mission to get this little boy a visa so he can come on holiday with us to France. And then he can come back from France and come back to the UK. I'll just tell you one part of the story. We got to the Nigerian embassy. I didn't realize you're supposed to pack food when you go to the Nigerian embassy. People had brought food for 3 meals because we were going to be there for a while. But I tell you, the Nigerian embassy, after I pleaded this little lad's case, they turned round a passport for this boy in 24 hours. Hats off to them, amazing. But then I realized that a Nigerian passport isn't going to get you into France. You need a visa to go to France. So then I went to the French embassy. The French embassy is not as friendly as a Nigerian embassy. I don't know if you know this. And I couldn't get in. And so there's not even a door. There's not a doorbell. So I started to take pictures of the security cameras. And then pretty soon, this huge man comes out. He's got one of those FBI kind of things going out of his ear. He comes out and he says, what are you doing? I said, look, I've just got to tell you about this boy. He's a lovely boy. He's got speech delay. He's had 8 different families. Could you help him? He said, come with me, sir. And then we go in the back door and we sort it all out. Do you see what this boy has done to me? I was scared to death of him. But proximity undid that. It unraveled my prejudice. And then the proximity with him, getting to know him, built empathy in me. And now it's turned me into his champion. I'll do anything for this lad because I love him to bits. Friends, I believe you can unlock power, the motivation that will keep you going, however hard it is as a leader. I think you'll be able to cope with other people. And even if they're from Gen Z or another group you're struggling to get on with, you will be able to understand them better by getting close to them, allowing empathy to undo some of the challenges that you're facing. And empathy will give you a passion that will turn you into a champion to change the world, however hard it gets. So keep going. Thanks for your time.